The man saw something strange while hunting. He was aiming at a deer, but when he pulled the trigger, he ended up killing a young boy. Jeff was too shocked to say a word. He quickly ran over to check the situation. Sure enough, a child was lying in the grass. He knelt down trying to wake the boy, but the boy had already stopped breathing. Jeff collapsed to the ground, not knowing how to deal with this. Just then, the boy's father rushed over after hearing the noise.
Sonny! Sonny!
The old father fell into grief, and seeing the culprit in front of him, he bravely picked up his weapon. Jeff was already in a panic. After all, his mistake could not be undone. He tried to explain it was not on purpose, but the man had no mood to listen. Just when Jeff thought he was going to be beaten to death, the man's body was suddenly struck. It was Jeff's friend Dick who had arrived. He had seen everything from the side, and to protect his friend he took the man down. But the series of tragedies that happened completely broke Jeff inside. They had just come to hunt. Who could have thought so much would happen? But in contrast, Dick was unusually calm. He hid the two bodies in the grass. Seeing Jeff frozen in place, he quickly dragged him to leave, but no one would have thought an even bigger tragedy was coming. On the way they stayed silent, and Jeff sitting in the passenger seat looked terrified. But what he could not understand was that Dick actually stopped the car and planned to keep hunting. Jeff could not help asking when he saw that. That was when Dick told him why. If they just ran away, it would directly confirm their guilt. Better to pretend they were never at the scene from the start.
Can you handle prison meat? Because I don't think I can. And we are in the middle of fucking nowhere. In hundreds of miles of forest.
Now it seemed they could not just leave. At least they needed to stay here for a day, then return at night to deal with the scene. And to make the act more convincing, they went to a nearby store, chatted with the clerk on purpose, and casually mentioned they were hunting here. When it got dark, they went back to the motel. When the owner asked if they caught anything, they said they wasted the whole day, didn't see any game. Then they went to a restaurant, pretending to be starving after a long day, and took the chance to mention that the place they hunted was not in the forest where it happened. When night came, they finally returned. Jeff dug a hole nearby, while Dick thought of something. The bullets were also key evidence. If someone found them, the consequences would be serious. Luckily, he soon found one in the tree, but the other was nowhere to be found. He turned to look at the boy, touched his head with his hand, but there was no trace of blood. At that moment, Dick understood everything. While Jeff was burying the boy's father, he went aside to get to work. Only by taking out the bullet could they be safe. But Jeff disagreed. The boy had already stopped breathing. Digging a bullet out of his head now would be the greatest disrespect. The two quickly started fighting over it.
Stay down. Stay down, man, please.
Dick knew it had to be done, and Jeff could only hide in the car. Dick then packed all the evidence into the trunk. After cleaning everything up, they rushed back to the motel that night. Back in the room, Dick said they would leave at first light, but unexpectedly, when they woke up ready to go, they heard a noise outside. They went to look and saw the tire had been slashed on purpose. Dick realized something was wrong. He rushed downstairs to ask why.
What's going on? To read it. To read it. What the hell's going on? Fuck up! Away from him, for Christ's sake! What are you doing? Fucking bastard.
It turned out a few days ago when they first came here, they were just excited to hunt, but when they went to a tavern for fun, they happened to meet Whitebeard's daughter. The two hit it off right away, and stayed together, but when Whitebeard found out, he decided Dick was no good, which led to what happened earlier. Luckily the mayor stepped in, and Dick narrowly escaped, but their troubles were not over, because the tire was damaged. They had to go to a repair shop nearby, but while cleaning the trunk, Jeff accidentally dropped a knife. He panicked immediately. Luckily the mechanic did not notice, but they soon heard bad news. The car could not be fixed until the next day. To keep avoiding suspicion about the forest, they went to another tavern for fun, and happened to run into Whitebeard again. From him they learned that people already knew a father and son had gone missing. They became nervous. Before leaving, Whitebeard gave Dick a nose grab as a warning, but did not push further. Dick and Jeff did not think much of it. They just needed to leave the next day. As for the missing father and son, they were not too worried. In such a large forest, no one could find them right away. They just needed to wait until the car was fixed. But unexpectedly, that night at a bonfire party, the village chief found them. Because the village was remote, there were not many people. He invited them to help search for the missing father and son. To avoid suspicion, they had to join. Soon they set out. All the way they were on edge, praying they would not go to the burial site. But the chief knew the area too well. He knew the father and son went hunting in that forest. Soon the group arrived. Unexpectedly, Whitebeard brought hunting dogs. Dick and Jeff panicked. The group split up to search. Dick and Jeff purposely stayed at the back, planning to slip away, but everyone around them them carried weapons. They had no way to escape. It wasn't long before the dogs caught the scent and started barking. The group rushed toward the sound. It was the familiar place again. The soil clearly showed signs of being disturbed. After digging, they found the father and son's bodies. Seeing they were exposed, Dick and Jeff ran toward the car. The villagers noticed their behavior. Sensing something was wrong, they quickly chased after them. Luckily, Whitebeard's shooting was terrible, allowing them to escape, but there was no time to celebrate, because the villagers were chasing in cars, and their car broke down again. Panicked, they hid in the forest, but the dogs were sharp. It did not take long for the dogs to catch their scent and pounce on them. Although the dogs were fierce, Dick killed them with a knife, but unfortunately, Jeff was bitten. No matter how Dick pulled, he could not stand up again.
Just fucking go!
With no choice, Dick escaped first, leaving Jeff to be beaten. After venting their anger, the villagers decided to take Jeff back, and left some to search for Dick. Soon after, the villagers interrogated Jeff overnight, and locked him in a warehouse, facing several big men. Jeff told them everything. The chief could hardly believe it. Whitebeard soon arrived, and went to kill Jeff. Luckily, the chief stopped him. He advised handing Jeff to the agents, not killing him in private, but Whitebeard insisted on his way. Even if he killed Jeff now, no one would ever know in this remote village. But while they argued, Dick had already been caught and put in a car. By the next day, they had a plan. The villagers brought Jeff to a warehouse, the same warehouse where Dick was kept. Their plan was that only one could live, and Jeff had to end Dick himself. Only then could they erase their hatred, but Jeff refused. Dick was his childhood friend, and his best buddy, but the chief told him to think carefully. He still had a wife waiting at home. If he didn't act now, both of them would die. Jeff panicked, seeing the fierce Whitebeard behind him. He knew he had to do it. Dick said nothing as he lay tied on the ground, waiting for his friend to end him. In the end, Jeff did it, and the chief kept his word, letting someone take him out of the warehouse. The next day, Jeff left with his wife, and the hunt ended in tragedy.